Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby and I'm with Fitness is Medicine. And today I'm going to give you a full workout that you can do in your home again. I like to keep mixing it up and giving you more challenges that you can do while you're in your home or traveling or wherever you may be. I'm going to use a few different modalities today for the workout, but really you can get by with a band, a ball, maybe a dumbbell. I'm going to use a medicine ball, but you can use a water jug or a dumbbell, and I'll give you those substitutions as we go. But if you want to get started having some equipment ready, see if you have a playground ball, a fitball, a band, and maybe a dumbbell if you don't have a medicine ball. So I'll give you some alternatives as we go, but we're going to start with a lat exercise, your latissimus dorsi, your big muscles in your back, and we're going to do it with a band. So I've got my tubes set up here through my doorway, and they're about hip height. So what we're going to do is we're going to hinge at the hips almost into a little bit of a squat, but you're just kind of hinging at the hips, keeping your back flat, and then you're going to pull those bands towards your shoulders. So you're keeping those shoulders away from your ears and then pulling your shoulder blades down and together as you pull back. We're going to go ahead and do 10 of these. You're getting a little bit of a static squat while you're doing this, and you should really feel it working in those back muscles. We're also getting some biceps, so we're getting some arm muscles in this as well. Go ahead and do 10 or 12. Remember, if your band isn't very strong, you can scoot back a little bit. You can double up a band. If it's too strong, you can get a little closer and make it work for you. Okay, next we're going to do some squats. So I'm just going to hold a medicine ball, but you can hold a dumbbell or a jug of water, whatever you might have around, just a little bit of a weight. Nice and close to your chest to start. And when you sit back into that squat, I want you to reach that ball or that jug of water or dumbbell, whatever you have, out in front just a little. What that does is it gives you a little bit of a counterweight so you can really sit back into that good position. So notice my knees are staying over my toes and I'm sitting my hips back and my weight is in my heels. And the other thing is when I go back, my knees stay over my ankles there. So I think I might have just said toes. You want to keep your knees over your ankles and don't let them collapse towards each other here. You want to keep them spread apart nice and wide. I usually have mine a little wider than hip and shoulder width apart. And if you're struggling, you can also kind of turn your feet out to the sides just a little. But you can kind of play with that a little and just see how that feels. Get that counterweight, and then you can really sit back into that squat and get some good form. If that hurts your knees, you can do a smaller range of motion and just, find that range of motion that challenges you without pain. Okay. Next, we're going to do chops. So I have just this smaller weighted ball, or I have my jug of water, which I think I'll use today. And we've done this in times past as well. But I'm going to take that jug of water and hold it right here in between my hands, and I'm going to chop up and then I'm going to chop down. So we're going to throw it up and then throw it down. So I want that chop. If you do have a jug of water, you really want to make it slosh. Hi, Tubby. If you don't have a jug and you do have a ball, you can pretend like you're going to throw it. Really get that forceful punch. Okay, now take a break and then we'll go the opposite direction. So we're doing this in a little bit of an athletic stance, not necessarily a squat, but a good athletic stance so your abs are contracted, your hips are back, and your back is protected. So I'm going to punch up this way and down the opposite way. Like I'm going to throw it. We want that explosive movement, working those joints in an explosive fashion. This is working your shoulders and your biceps. And depending on what you're holding, It can be working your hands, that grip strength, which is so important to maintain. All right, good. Okay, next we're going to do some side stepping. So we're going to work on those glutes and get out of our frontal pattern here. I have a little band here that I'm going to put around my ankles, but you can also use the band that you use for your lats and just kind of wrap it around your feet. So we're going to put that around my ankles, and I want it nice and flat so it doesn't, kind of cut off the circulation. Again, that athletic stance, sit those hips back, and we are going to take tiny little baby steps to the side. So notice that my toes are pointed straight forward. I don't want this toe to turn out to the side and start using my hip flexors. I want my glutes to be in charge here. So, like I said, that athletic stance, hips back just a little, abs contracted, back protected, tiny little steps. So make sure you're not dragging your feet, and don't take a big step and then come together. So we want to maintain that tension. Just like you're going to sit down and do a squat, kind of keep your feet about that far apart so that you maintain the tension and really work those glutes. You should be feeling it in your outer hips in the back here. Okay, so we'll go back and forth a couple times, nice and easy. Toes pointed forward, and if that's hard for you, you can also think about pointing them in just a little bit. It's okay if they kind of turn in like towards the middle just a little bit. Okay. Great. Now, and like I said, if you have a band, I'll show you my tube here real quick. If you don't have one like that, you can do this with your band and get that resistance the same way with your band or your tube. Whatever you have around will give you that resistance. All right, the next one we're going to do is sitting on the ball. And you can do this seated on a chair as well, but I kind of like to do it on a ball just for that extra balance and core. So I'm going to put one thing between my knees and one thing in my hands. So what we're going to do is work your hips the opposite direction. So we worked your abductors, your abduction. Now we're going to work your adductors, AD. So we're going to pull your hips towards the center. So you could use one long foam roller if you have one. Just use something soft. You could use a pillow, a playground ball, a balance disc, anything you might have lying around. Just something soft that you can squeeze, and then something for your hands as well. So we're just going to squeeze, hold it for about 5 seconds, and then relax. And I'm squeezing my hands and my knees together here. And again, you can do this in a chair if you don't have a fitball around. We want to maintain a really good posture, shoulders down away from your ears. So you don't want to be squeezing and doing this. We're just squeezing. And you can decide on the tension. If it hurts anywhere, if this bothers your shoulders, you can take your arms out of it and just do your hip adductors. So we're squeezing and holding and then release. But by doing both, if you're able, you also incorporate some extra core at the same time, especially if you're sitting on a ball. We're going to do this 10 times. And then we're going to lower to the floor for a side plank. So that's the last one, and relax. Okay. So we're going to do a side plank for the last exercise here. I'm just going to bring this down. So when we're starting a side plank, we want to start on our elbow and your knees bent, elbow directly below your shoulder. I'm going to scoot back here a little bit. There we go. And then we can come up here, and this can be our starting point. And if this feels okay, you can put one leg out like that. You can even put an arm up. This is a much more protective stance for your shoulder if you do have any shoulder injuries. The other thing you can do is you can try it up on your hand and start up like this. Sometimes I feel it may be a little bit easier to put that one leg out so you have that support, and it's a little easier to balance than putting both knees here. It gives you that extra lever, sort of. If that feels okay, remember we're going to keep this hand or your elbow, whichever place that you're at here, directly beneath your shoulder so you're not putting extra tension on your shoulder. If you're out here, it's much harder on your shoulder and it's harder in general. So we want to be directly beneath. And then if you can come up into a full side plank. Your top foot should be in front. And then roll your shoulders back. A lot of times people are kind of here trying to balance. Roll those shoulders back. You want to have your shoulders and your hips stacked on top of each other. Okay, wherever you have decided to hold it, try to hold it for about 30 seconds. And then let's switch and do the other side. Okay, so remember, if you're going to start on your elbows, put that elbow directly beneath your shoulder, come on up. You can come here. If that feels okay and you want to try it on your hand, get that hand directly beneath your shoulder. See if you can hold that. If this is a challenge for you and you're not having any pain, try to hold this for 30 seconds. If you need a little bit more, remember your top foot is in front, your hips are stacked, your shoulders are stacked, and you can hold it right just like this for 30 seconds. I'm going to keep that hand directly beneath my shoulder, keep breathing, and also I'm keeping my head in line. So I don't want to have my head here or looking up or anything like that. I want my head, my cervical spine in line with the rest of my spine. Okay, let's go through them again. Since I gave you so many substitutions, I want to be able to make sure that you understand all of these. Remember, you can use a band with this. If you do have a lat pull machine at your house, go ahead and do the lat pull machine if that's what you have. I'm going to bring this up just a touch. Okay, so we'll start with that banded vertical pull. So we're going to sit back. We've got kind of a lot of squatting motion today, if you haven't noticed. So we're going to sit back in that squat. You're really supported, though, with this band that you're hanging on to. So pull back, keeping those shoulders away from your ears. We're going to do this 10 times. Remember, make the resistance your own. You can double up the bands. You can put 2 or 3 on there to make it so that you're getting a good challenge with this exercise. Squeezing those shoulder blades down and together, keeping your shoulders away from those ears. And don't forget to breathe. So breathe, take a breath in now. Breathe out as you pull back. All right. Slowly walk that band forward. And next we're going to do those squats with a little bit of a weighted ball. Remember, you can do it with a dumbbell or a weighted medicine ball. So we're going to squat back. Get your feet about a little wider than shoulder, hip width apart. I like to have mine a little wider so that when I sit back, I have that nice wide base of support. So you're going to sit back, bring that counterweight forward. If this hurts your shoulders, you can forget about doing this. And you can also, if you're having trouble getting that form, keep going on these if they're feeling good. You can grab something in front of you to sit back so that you can maintain that really good form. A lot of times in my gym, I have people do this at my bar, my stretch bar, so that you can really get that good form and sit back. But if you can, and your balance is doing okay, and your shoulders aren't hurting, try to bring that ball forward. Remember, you're keeping your knees right over your ankles, your weight is in your heels, and don't let those knees collapse towards each other. All right, good job, everybody. Next, we're going to do those diagonal chops. So I showed it to you with a gallon jug before, and next I'm just going to show it to you with a dumbbell. But you can do it with a medicine ball, a dumbbell. So I'll show it to you with a dumbbell this time. So hang on to the sides like this so you have a really good grip. You don't want to throw this across your room. A little bit of an athletic stance, hips back, abs tight, back protected. Push up and down. So you want to get that explosive movement. Pretend if you don't have a gallon jug or one of those water balls, pretend like you're going to make it slosh, make it sound like a washing machine. But like you're going to throw it as far as you can and then throw it to the floor. Get that explosive motion on your joints and your muscles. Obviously, if this hurts, you can do it more slowly and more gradually, of course. But we're getting that good twisting, reaching up and down. All right. Now we'll switch sides. So up and down. So we're chopping up and down. Take that chop out if you do have any pain in your elbows or your shoulders. Make sure you have a good grip. This is another, like I said, it's a good gripping exercise, making our hands stronger. Kind of shifting your weight back and forth between your feet. Last one. Okay, good. Next is that side stepping. And this first time I did it with the band around my ankles. And I showed you at the end there with my tube, but you can also use a TheraBand, any type of resistance around those to get that resistance going side to side. So you can hold it here and we'll get those toes pointed straight forward, or you can also turn them in just a little bit. Tiny little baby steps. So you want to maintain that tension on the band so that you're really working those glutes. This is a really great hip stabilization exercise that everybody should be doing. Runners, walkers, everyone. Gardeners. We want to keep our glutes strong to avoid injury so that all of our muscles work as they're supposed to, in synchrony, and so due to their support, and keep us injury-free and pain-free. Okay, now next we're going to do that hip adduction, so AD. And I did it on the ball last time, and I'll do it again. Like I said, you could use one long foam roller and squeeze it with both at the same time. You can squeeze the ball and hold the foam roller. Regardless, I want good posture, shoulders down. And it's not a very large movement. It's a good isometric hold. But we're doing that squeeze, incorporating our abs at the same time as we're getting some pec involvement here and working our adductors. Again, if this hurts your shoulders, you can take your arms out of it. But if you're able to, I like working as many muscles at the same time as we can. All right, let's do 3 more. Holding it for about a count of 5 each time. And if the other thing you can do is you can squeeze it closer to you too. If your elbows or your shoulders are bothering you, you can just squeeze it here. Okay, great. Last one is lowering down to the ground for that side plank. So, refresh my screen here. And we're going to come down to the ground. So, starting on your elbows if that's where you are, starting on your hand if you'd rather, you can come up onto your knee and hold it right here. Regardless of where you're trying this, make sure you're trying where you are with it is where you have good form. So if you're going to try it here, all the way up on your feet and your hand, make sure you're not compensating and moving forward and really trying to balance. We want a perfect line, shoulders stacked, hips stacked. The other thing is you can stack your feet like this, and that's even just a little bit harder if you want that extra lever. So we'll hold this for 30 seconds, and then we're going to switch. So remember, elbow, if you're on your elbows, go ahead and start wherever you are comfortable, wherever you're challenged, but still have good form. So if you find yourself here and you want to stay there, but you start losing form, put one foot in front. And then if you start losing form or you just can't hold it, put one knee down. Maintain that good form so that you don't end up injuring yourself or you don't end up with pain later. So wherever you start from, if you want to challenge yourself to try that next level, be prepared to go down to the next level if you're having any pain or if you're losing form and need to make a change. So easy to change, you can put it here. And then if you really want to keep holding it, you can even go to your elbow. Keep challenging that core. Even though you're on a different level, those muscles are still engaged and still being recruited and still holding you in that spot. Okay, remember to follow this up with a good stretch and let me know if you have any questions. If you do have any of these that you're unable to do and you need a substitution, feel free to private message me or comment. I'm always happy to send suggestions and different ways to do things. So enjoy yourself. Go ahead and repeat these through again if you've got the time and you want to further your workout. That was about 25 minutes or so, but if you'd like to, you can go ahead and repeat them again. But try those variations, see what works for you, see what you have around your house, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.